This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather Holders. Dec28 welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, December the 28th, is an NHL All-Star defenseman and a legend for winning the Stanley Cup in its final season with the Colorado Avalanche. But still, he was a Boston Bruins legend and will always be a Boston Bruins legend, despite the fact that he only played 2 years for Colorado and got his number retired. But whatever. One of the greatest hockey players of all time. His name is Ray Bourque, and he's 62 years old. Ray Bourque would win the Norris Trophy 5 times as best defenseman, and actually taking second 6 times. So 11 times he was top 2, and actually finished second in voting for the MVP twice, which is a rarity for a defenseman. Well, I mean, Chris Pronger won it. Anyway, so Ray Bourque played for Trois-Rivières of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and was traded to Sorel, and then he went to Verdun. He was a pretty good defenseman. Now, he was picked 8th in the 1979 NHL draft. Now, Boston had the pick, and Boston had the pick because of a shrewd trade in 1977. Boston acquired LA's first-round pick for goalie Ron Graham, who would have a son named John, who would be a Boston goalie for a while. It was amazing. So, defensemen took over the top 8 spots. 4 of the top 8 team picks were defensemen. Colorado took Rob Bramage first overall. Now remember, this is the Colorado team that became New Jersey a couple years later. For the 6th pick, Minnesota took Craig Hartsburg. Good pick. Chicago took Keith Brown 7th, and the Bruins took Ray Bourque 8th. Actually, Boston wanted to sign Keith Brown, but with Chicago picking him, they panicked. And that was a good panic because Ray Bourque rewarded Boston in spades. He was great. He ended up winning the Calder for Rookie of the Year, mostly because Gretzky was ineligible because he played in the WHA, which they called a major league. So thus he couldn't win the Calder. That's the one major trophy Gretzky never won, other than Vezina, but whatever. So yeah, he did fantastic. Bourque was a great player and all that. It was huge. In fact, he was so good, he was on the first team NHL spot in defenseman, becoming the first rookie to do so. A first non-goalie to be a part of the first team thing. He looked pretty good. So Bourque was okay and all that. Although Bourque would be beaten by a young Mario Lemieux for his first goal of his career, he still was huge. Bourque would be named team captain after Terry O'Reilly would retire to coach the club. Bourque and Rick Middleton would actually share the seat. Bourque would be the captain on road games, Middleton for home games. So yeah. So Ray Bourque was good. Once Middleton retired in 1988, he became the sole captain and was retained that position for the remainder of Bruins' tenure. He would actually be the longest tenured Bruins captain in history, passing Dick Clapper. He would become the longest serving team captain in NHL history with 15 years until Steve Yzerman surpassed him. Bourque was huge for Boston and all that. What else was huge about Bourque was that he wore number 7. A lot of people say he wore 77. Well, he wore 7 until 1988 when Phil Esposito's number 7 was going to go up to the rafters. Now, there was an agreement that Bourque would wear 7 for the rest of his career. And then, even though Espo's number 7 would be retired. However, Bourque did the unselfish move by he gave Espo his Bourque number 7 jersey, but then he took off the Bourque 7 jersey, gave it to Espo, and revealing Bourque 77 on it. So Bourque decided to change his number to 77. And it was just shocking. Like, no one knew except for Bourque himself. And he made 77 historic. I mean, what other good player wore 77 in the NHL? Not many. Maybe Pierre Turgeon, but still. Bourque was huge for Boston for 21 years, from 1979 to 2000. He was huge. He actually nearly won the 1990 Hart Trophy for MVP, just losing out to Mark Messier by a few points. It was the closest race until 2002 when there was a tie between Jose Theodore and Drew McGinley. It was amazing. He helped the Bruins get to 29 straight playoff appearances. Well, he didn't play for all of them, but like that streak was huge and all that. He helped the Bruins get to the Stanley Cup final twice against the Oilers in 1980 and 1990. Unfortunately for Bourque, he fell flat, as the Bruins would only win one game against the Oilers in those two finals. I forgot it was game 2 or 3, I can't remember. But anyway, it doesn't matter. And Bourque was popular because he would resign with Boston without any issues whatsoever. He could have set the benchmark salary for defensemen, but he didn't. All that. He quickly agreed to terms with the Bruins. Unfortunately, Boston was getting on the downturn of their franchise. 1997, they missed the playoffs for the first time in 3 decades. They did get the number 1 pick, which was Joe Thornton, but then they traded him away in 2005 in a move that was one of the worst one-sided trades in NHL history. So the Bruins needed something. The Bruins had problems and all that, especially with the Marty McSorley slash on Donald Brashear trying to go them into a fight. Bourque decided to request a trade from the fading Bruins so he would have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. Boston swallowed their pride and said, well, okay, fine, and traded him with Dave Anderchuk to Colorado for Brian Ralston, Martin Grenier, Samuel Paulson, and a first-round pick, which was Martin Samuelson, which didn't go anywhere. Bourque would have a big impact for the Avalanche. So much so, they almost went to the Stanley Cup Finals in it right off the bat, but they did fall in the conference finals with Dallas. But Bourque came back for the 2001 season and was named an alternate captain to Joe Sakic's captaincy. And with Peter Forsberg being done for because of his spleen, he needed to do something. Bourque would be part of a great defense corps with Adam Foote and Rob Blake. So he looked pretty good. He ended up being runner-up of the Norris Trophy to Lidstrom. Colorado did their job. They got to the Stanley Cup Finals. They called it Mission 16W because that was actually an off-ramp by a New Jersey highway. So anyway, Bourque actually scored the winning goal in Game 3 in New Jersey. It was a tough series. Colorado almost botched it, but won Game 6 with a shutout. Went to Game 7 on home ice in front of many fans in Colorado and many fans watching on ABC. It was amazing and all that. And Colorado did it. 3-1. A pair goes by Tanguay. Was it? Yeah, it was Tanguay. With the hero thing. What is it with Game 7 heroes scoring 2 goals and not really being known? I'm looking at you, Maxim Talbot and Ruslan Fedotenko. But yeah, the Avalanche won the cup, and Gary Foran, who was doing play-by-play for ABC, captured it perfectly. When Joe Sakic got the cup but did not raise it above his head, as was tradition, he gave it to Ray Bourque. After 22 years, Raymond Bourque! And he did it. He got the cup and all that. Bourque did it. He actually waited longer to win his first cup than any other cup-winning player had up to that point, with over 1,800 combined regular season playoff games. He decided to retire after the season. He actually brought the cup back to Boston 3 days after the Avs won it for an emotional rally held by 20,000 fans at City Hall, which was great and all that. Bourque had many records. He had most goals by defensemen and assists. 410 goals, 1,169 assists, 1,579 points. And he did fantastic. That was a record. I don't think those records have been touched yet, have they? I think they're still around. No, he's got the assist record, but goals, yeah, first in career goals, assists, and points. Okay, so he has all those records still. Internationally, Bourque played in 81, 84, and 87 for the Canada Cup, winning 2 of them. He could have played in 91, but he didn't want to. Canada still won the cup. So anyway, Bourque would wear 77 a long time. Avalanche would retire at 77 before Boston did, which was shocking and all that. Anyway. It was just amazing all of that. Yeah, he retired, but yeah, he was done it. He got to the Hockey Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility in 2004, obviously. And why wouldn't you? His birthplace of Saint Laurent has the name Arena Raymond Bourque in his honor. Bourque and his wife live in Massachusetts. No, Bourque's younger brother Richard actually was drafted by the Bruins for the 10th round in 1981, but never played pro. Bourque's oldest son Chris was drafted by the Caps in 2004 and actually played some years in the NHL, including Boston 2012. Ryan Bourque was a draft pick by the Rangers in 2009 and part of the 2010 gold medal World Junior team, to my disgust, of course. Ryan and Chris played for the Hershey Bears. I think that's wrong. I think that needs to be updated, but as is. Yep, he won 5 times the Norris Trophy for defensemen. Only Bobby Orr, Doug Harvey, and Nick Lidstrom have won more. So he's 4th all-time in career assists, not just for defensemen, but lifetime. And 11th all-time in points. As I said, goals, assists, and points, he's number 1. Calder for rookie year 1980 won the Norris in 87, 88, 90, 91, and 94. And, he's a Bruins all-time leader in games played, assists, and points, still to this day. So, yeah, he's 3rd all-time in assists in the playoffs and 10 points. So, anyway, it was just amazing what he did winning that 1 Stanley Cup. So, yeah, 1,579 points in 1,612 NHL regular season games and 180 points in 214 postseason games. Ray Bourque will always be remembered. And although I do have a bone to pick with the Boston Bruins, I think he's a legend. And that's saying a lot. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do